Hi Wouter, thank you very much for coming on the second podcast of See You on the Run.
Hey, good morning.
Very happy to get to know you a little better. Can you just introduce yourself for our audience?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Wouter Remmerie. It's a Flemish name, not the easy to pronounce.
Yeah?
And I'm a mechanical engineer. And I started working just in corporate environments, designing gearboxes for wind turbines. And I did that for 5 years, and then I decided to just design a car in my free time, a sports car which was based around a certain aerodynamics principle.
Okay.
And I went asking around, what can I do with this? And I ended up going to an engineering agency because they were very good at running simulations.
Okay.
And then that's how I got into the field of aerodynamics, because the concept car was based on an aerodynamics principle. Then I worked there for 6 years, and then I decided to go solo with a team now.
Yeah.
To build a platform where other people can run aerodynamics simulations. That's the long story short.
Okay, yeah. I read a little bit about you, and I had a nature question for you. I was wondering if, in your opinion, you would still be an engineer if you were born in another family.
Oh, good question. Well, if I look at my kids, they're all into RC cars. And
Okay.
if I look at my parents, my mom was a math teacher and my dad's an engineer as well. So yeah, probably kind of hinted me in that direction.
Of course. Okay, so but it passionates you, the engineering, what makes you so passionate about engineering? Is it the building or the analysis? What is it?
I like the aspect where you can create something,
Yeah?
where you can just start from nothing,
Yeah.
come up with an idea, build something, experiment, see if it works, see if it fails, improve it. I like just the creative aspect of it.
That sounds a lot like entrepreneurship, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, and I read that you went to Ferrari and Koenigsegg with your first design. How was the meeting with all these companies? Were you impressed?
Yeah, it was. So the way I got to talk to them was when I went to this agency that I mentioned. We teamed up to get the concept patented.
Yeah.
And when you patent something, it gets published. And when someone else wants to patent something, you have to add a bit of research around your idea. And so Ferrari obviously is also working on patents to improve the performance of their cars. And so that meant they came across our patent, which means they made a reference to our patent in one of their patents. And then I saw who made that reference, and I had a call with that person, which was really nice. And then Pagani was a combination because my oldest son was just 6 weeks or something. We went to Italy.
Okay, yeah.
And it wasn't too far from Pagani, so we just set up a meeting. It was really nice just to sit in the office that I had seen before,
Yeah.
in one of their promo videos.
Amazing.
They actually design cars and so on. So that was not related to any business at that point in time. It was just super cool to see the, let's say, combination of years of making sketches and working on 3D models in my spare time to create this concept car, and then just sit at that office. That was just a super nice reward.
Amazing. Yeah, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, including myself and Maxim, are going through rough phases where you just work and nothing seems to work.
Yeah.
But after a few years, you can see the results. What would you say to someone who's going through that phase?
Oof, yeah. I do think that you get rewarded if you're persistent.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to judge sometimes whether you're just wasting your time on something which is not relevant, or whether something's just bubbling beneath the surface, right?
Yeah.
So what really helped me over the years is to talk about what you're doing. When I started the company, they told me you should have an advisory board. And my first response was, oh, come on, my list of to-dos is endless. Do I really need another thing like an advisory board? But then this was one of the best things I ever did.
Really?
Because having people who are not necessarily in your shareholder structure and are just there to give their honest, unfiltered opinion, that's incredible. And if you then discuss with them, like, hey, I'm working on this, or we're putting our energy into this new feature or whatever, they can really help to make sense and to put it into perspective, whether that's a useful way of actually spending your time.
Yeah. And what actually is the best advice this advisory board gave you?
Like at one point, there was someone whom we had to let go of.
Okay.
That was the first time I ever had to do this, which is tough, right?
Yeah.
So I discussed it with them, and they just gave me a lot of tips on how to approach this, which is really nice. And one of the key moments was a number of years back. We were actually, it was COVID, it was everything together. Revenue was dropping, and we weren't going to make it. And so I had prepared a presentation for the board which said, okay, we need this amount of money to continue. And then they said, well, no, actually you need to say it's not working. Just be plain open, plain honest. It's not working the way we're doing business today. And so I switched the presentation to that approach, which meant that the meeting went completely differently. Because suddenly we started being very honest about what we had done before and how we can dramatically change things for the future, which is what we did. And then, of course, there's a bit of luck involved, but things did turn around, and for the better, because now it's running really nice.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So they basically told you to cut the crap.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. We need some people like that in our lives, I think. So yeah, amazing. And what part of your product do we need to understand to see the value in your market as non-engineers and not knowing the field?
Yeah, so aerodynamics is about airflow around objects like cars and drones, but also through objects like an exhaust or an engine manifold or something. And typically, for decades, you would be able to buy an expensive software package, maybe 50,000 euros, buy expensive hardware, another few 10,000 euros, and hire an expensive engineer or someone else with equivalent experience, which is again 100,000 a year, to operate that software. And then spend a lot of time on every simulation you run, because you need to set it up and process it. That's exactly what I was doing for 6 years at that engineering agency that I mentioned. But this makes it extremely prohibitive for people or companies to get into the field of aerodynamic simulations. Because you need to invest a few 100,000 euros. So if you're a small company, sports car company, making bicycle helmets or whatever, either you're just not going to bother at all with aerodynamics, or you're going to go to an expensive consultant because you just need it for 2 months, or you're just going to try and do it with open source, which is really complex. So what we did is we flipped everything around. We said we're going to provide a, let's say, paper simulation platform where you don't invest in any software, you just pay for simulation, buy credits. You don't invest in hardware because it's in the cloud. You don't invest in expertise because everything is completely automated. We do that behind the scenes automatically. And so the barrier has been reduced from a few 100,000 euros to literally right now 50 euros for one simulation, just to get started and try it.
Wow.
And of course you can go up in terms of resolution and accuracy, but that's the gap we created. That's the offering we have.
Okay, so yeah, that's the dream for a small car company, even the big ones, I think.
Yeah, because the big ones, we really like that expensive software. I've worked with it myself. It allows you to customize many things and really get down to the last details. But it takes time. Even within the big companies, the big OEMs, where they have their sequence set up, they have automated many things, you still have an aero department where designers need to knock on the door and ask, oh, can you run this calculation for me? Which means that designers need to prepare their models in a certain way so that they can actually run the simulations, which takes time. Which means in the very early phases of design, they just don't bother either. Just create a design, and then the aero department gives them feedback saying, you should change the shape a bit over here, and then this destroys the design, right?
Yeah.
So we also work with big car companies because we can empower the designers to just run their own initial checks already. So they can go to the aero department with a design which has already been scrutinized for the first time.
Okay. Yeah, so you seem to know a lot about this market now, to know the pains and the desires of your customers. What would you say to your younger self, like 5 years down the line?
If I could go back, you mean?
Yeah.
I think I made the typical mistake of developing too much before launching, before getting that feedback. For example, I spent 2 years building a prototype just to show that it could be automated. Then we spent another year with the people we hired to build a more refined platform. And only then did we launch and did we get feedback from the customers. But what I could have done was, for example, to just ask my former boss, can I just make an online portal where people upload their model, and if they order something, I could just run it manually and pay my former boss a small fee or something.
Yeah.
And I would have had a lot of feedback already about what they want, how it works, what they appreciate, and so on. So that's what I would do.
Okay, so basically, before launching a product, your advice is to ask the market if he needs it.
Well, ask, but also prototype it in the smallest possible way. And I know it's cliche, like your minimum viable product.
Yeah,
but minimum is usually way more minimal than what you think.
Okay, yeah. And I had a question about expertise.
Yeah.
So your expertise is around engineering subjects, and especially in the airflow for vehicles.
Yes.
I know a lot of experts in their in their fields that don't know how to turn this expertise into a product. Many do online training programs.
Yeah.
You do too, but you turn it into a product. What would you advise someone who is really an expert on how to create a product to monetize it?
What was a big learning curve for me, or for the team in general, but especially for me, is that, like you said, you know one thing really well, but running a company is a very different thing.
Yeah.
And running a product company is a very different thing compared to being a consultant.
Yeah.
So trying to become more knowledgeable about these aspects, like what is marketing about, what is sales about, and so on. If you can kind of jumpstart this, that's really nice, because in our case, for example, the main focus was build the product, make sure that we can launch on time, which we did, which was really nice. But it was like a sequential approach. Like, okay, we have a product, now let's try and sell it.
Yeah.
which is something which is really difficult to accelerate, because, for example, one of our key marketing channels is YouTube videos. In the beginning, I thought, why on earth should we work on YouTube videos? But now, more than half of our revenue is via the video content that we generate. But the thing is, building an audience, building credibility, making YouTube accept you as, let's say, a credible resource takes time. So, if you do this in a sequential manner, first product, then marketing, that's not really very useful.
Yeah.
Because you'll have a big gap in revenue. So, and I know that when you start out, there's a ton of things you need to do. You're already lacking time to build the product, let alone start a marketing channel. But you really should, I think, because in the end, your product may be awesome, but the real validation of your concept, your dream, is when people are willing to pay for your product and afterwards tell you, oh, that was money well spent. That's the real validation of a product business.
Product market fit, of course. Okay, so yeah, and about the to-do list, that's way too long. I know that you're a father, a boyfriend or husband now? I don't know.
No, single now, but yes.
Okay, well.
Things to combine.
Yeah.
2 kids in there.
2 kids is a lot of work.
Yeah.
A company is a lot of work. Creating a team. How do you manage all this and still snowboard?
Well, maybe that's the essence.
Yeah.
Occasionally do stuff that really gives you energy, I guess. I don't know. It's a constant search for optimization, right? But what really matters to me is to have a very consistent rhythm. Like years back, what I would do is work till 5 o'clock, go home, play with the kids, put them to bed, and immediately run off to my office to continue working until 10 o'clock in the evening. And it produced results. It was valuable time spent, but in the end, it wasn't balanced because I was cutting back on meeting up with friends, cutting back on my physical health. I wasn't sleeping as well. So after some time, I just decided, well, it's done, it's over. I'm just gonna work until 6 o'clock every day and have my rhythm, have my sleep, have my sports every week, which is kind of the topic of today, and be very, very, very structured. Like we don't have a single deadline. We've never had one. We only had one deadline, the initial product launch. After that, nothing. Which is not to say that we're just laying back. It's just we know that if we work consistently, even if it's just 8 hours a day, but we're just focused those 8 hours a day, that rhythm really works. We don't have these spikes anymore where we work maybe 60 hours one week and then crash and relax the other week. This like a metronome, just super consistent rhythm. To me, at least, that works.
And what if you had that rhythm 5 years ago? Would you still be at where you are today?
Well, yeah. I don't know if we had to go through that spike, working really hard to then realize. I guess you need to make these mistakes in life, right, before you can appreciate the other side. No, I guess like in general in life, you just need to go through it. Someone can tell you this when you're 20 years old. Hey, wait, go for consistency, go for rhythm, but you'll just say, no, I need to explore and hit the wall myself.
Yeah, I can very much relate to that. Okay. Yeah, so actually you need to go through this. Yeah, I see what you mean. And where are you living, Wouter? I don't remember. Are you in Belgium or in France?
Well, when the kids are with me, I live in Antwerp, because that's where the kids were born and live and go to school and everything. And when I don't have the kids, which is the other week, I stick the train to Paris and I live in Paris. Okay. Yeah, Paris is quite amazing to live in. But okay, and so you talked about something very important, is that you resource yourself in activities you enjoy, meeting with friends. And is there anything else you have done and you do to optimize your energy? I try to focus a bit more on healthy food.
Yeah.
I mean, not to the extremes, but like 10 years back, I would just eat a full box of chocolate waffles in the evening and just like it. I would still like it, but that stuff I don't do anymore. So my sleep, my sports, and seeing friends, having social contacts, which is one of the reasons I like being in Paris and Station F, because you're just surrounded by positive people, just like the Runners Club today. When I was talking to someone recently, we were discussing whether he should start something of his own, for example. And I think one of the things that helped me the most in the very early phases or stages was that I joined these incubator networks. And whenever you would step inside that office, you would be surrounded by people who only see possibilities, who only see chances, opportunities, and solve problems the whole time with pleasure, with energy. Yeah, I think being surrounded by that is really relevant.
Yeah, having a good environment is everything. And I had a question about your product and about AI. I listened to a podcast recently with on the diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the fact that with AI, software loses its value every day.
Yeah.
Because anybody can create a software now. And you're actually kind of an example of that, because you created an amazing software. It took years, but now you're defying the competitors with something with a much lower price.
Yeah.
How do you see the future of your product in industry with AI?
Well, it's a really good question. We don't know yet. That's the real answer. I mean, AI is evolving so quickly that it's hard to predict what it's going to be like in 5 years. The AI itself is going to be completely different. So in our case, there's a number of opportunities, threats, whatever you want to call it. Like there are companies who can run the simulations that we do in a matter of seconds, versus 10 hours on an expensive computer. But it requires you to train those models. So that's relevant if you're working on, let's say, a car, for example, because then you can afford spending a few €100,000 training the AI platform to then find like the best possible solution within your training set. Because that's the thing with AI. It's very good at asking it questions or asking for answers which are within the training space or the data set on which it was trained. But as soon as you ask something which is beyond, it starts to hallucinate or diverge or whatever. And there's ways to kind of put a quality label on the output or reliability figure on that. But that's where it struggles. So if you want to come up with something really new, you first have to feed it into the AI set, and then it's not new anymore. So that's kind of the trade-off that we're currently seeing. So it might be that AI models become way more efficient and it becomes extremely cheap to train them. Okay, then that's probably our way forward to apply such services. But it's also helping us to develop, because you mentioned AI is going to downgrade the value of software companies. Yeah, to some extent, yes. But on the other hand, the pace at which we are developing now has doubled over the past few years, because whenever we think of a concept which AI doesn't know of because it's a new product, we can actually implement it straight away with the use of AI. And that's where currently the biggest value is for us, to iterate much faster in terms of testing and prototyping new features and so on.
Okay.
But in the future, the whole thing.
It's kind of unpredictable.
Yes.
And still on the same topic, but AI is gonna just disrupt everything in our society, including the ways we earn money. And some people are talking about the fact that we could have an MRI, like a basic income for say everyone. What would you think that would provoke in our economy?
No one knows, so it's just speculation. But I don't believe in the fact that AI will create some kind of standard of life, quality of life, and we can all lay back and relax. I don't believe that stuff.
Too easy.
It's too easy. No, and also because it's just embedded in humans, deeply embedded, to just use the tools that you have and use them to improve your own situation. And that usually means being slightly more competitive or slightly more better off than your neighbor. So if AI is available to anyone, someone will make more use of it compared to someone else and take the lead in society. So this concept of AI is going to support us, and we're all going to lay back and have a superb quality of life, I don't believe that. Just like when the steam machine was invented, for example. Oh, we don't have to work anymore. We don't need cows anymore. We have a machine now. Fine, but if everyone has a machine, well, you just do more in general, and someone starts to build 10 machines and earn even more money. So I don't believe we're going to have a huge setback in terms of how many hours we need to work.
So you don't think our employments are at risk with AI?
Well, some are, yes. But in the same context, I think whenever there's a new tool, a new technology, like the steam machine or typing things or the internet, we're just going to use it, and that's it. There's jobs which are going to disappear, but there's new jobs which are going to be created. Like all the digital jobs today, they didn't exist 50 years back because there was no digital, or maybe 100 years back. So yes, we lost a lot of jobs because of digitization in the internet, but we created millions of new jobs. It's the same thing. People are just opportunity seekers. I will just create new stuff. But you have to be flexible to manage the transition, right?
Yeah.
So people who are in a difficult position or are scrambling to make ends meet and their job disappears, I think that's really problematic.
Yeah, it is. It's we'll see about that, but okay, interesting. And I was concerned about the fact that we all need to work a lot more. I feel like we need to work more to earn the same money.
Yeah.
And I was asking myself earlier about the fact that people can burn out.
Yeah.
And what's your take on the subject? Because a lot of people are saying that in order to burn out, you need to do something that you don't like.
Yeah. I used to believe that for the longest time.
Yeah.
I was also telling myself, this is for my passion. As long as it's for my passion, it's fine. I can work until 10 o'clock every day. But there are limits to that, I think. At least personally for me. I think we just need to look at what makes you happy in the end. Because entrepreneurship in many ways is, I think, a luxury problem. Not for all, but for many. So for me, it's important to do it for as long as it makes you happy. But if doing it all the way and scaling back on other things that usually make you happy, which is for me meeting friends and doing stuff I like, snowboarding and so on, then it just doesn't work either. But just personal opinion. I don't know if it works.
And to find some harmony, right?
Yes, exactly. That's good.
Okay. And I met you at a conference where you talked about social media, how to scale YouTube channel, for example.
Yeah.
Can you take us through the journey of you adopting YouTube and then scaling into it?
Yeah. Well, the long story short of that presentation was that, first of all, I was reluctant to do this because to me it didn't match like a very niche, high-end engineering product, and then YouTube, which to me back then was something for entertainment. Of course, not the right assessment, but we went ahead with it anyway, and the feedback was actually really nice in the beginning. Oh, this is interesting, and it also provided opportunities that I hadn't expected. Like, obviously, people see you on YouTube, and we get customers because they find us on YouTube. But one of the other effects was that in the manual sales process, where we typically contact customers who need aerodynamics once every 2 years, which means it's almost never the right time to contact them. We need to follow up. And we always add people on LinkedIn, and whenever we post a video on LinkedIn, they see us. They get reminded, oh, this is AirShaper, for example. So that's an extra benefit of having the video content. Whenever we have a first sales pitch or a sales call or anything, we also have a huge database of content that we can send to them afterwards. Like, oh, we talked about drone aerodynamics, well, check out this video. It shows you what we can do, which records we broke, and so on. And then it just helps you to provide context in your sales process again. And if you go to a conference or if I do a business development trip and we do a guest lecture somewhere, sometimes we get to record it, which again shows that you have been to a certain area of the world, which creates credibility.
Let's not die. Okay, yeah.
So it actually helps you in many ways, video content.
Okay. And you were talking about sales. I'm of course passionate about this subject in particular. How was your first sales pitch? How were they?
Well, I think the very first one was people who already knew me because I had left the previous company, which was in the same field. So we got a few customers that way, but not too many. That was very local, just in Belgium. Then we tried literally 10, 20, 30 different techniques to find customers. Like emailing people, going to fairs, talking to everyone, just cold outreach on LinkedIn. So it's a huge array of possibilities to sell something, and it still is a search today to find the most relevant ones. But the cycle after the personal network was probably LinkedIn, cold outreach and so on, and then going to fairs, and then you maybe talk to 20, 30 different people in one day at the fair, but it's very time consuming to do the follow-up the whole time. So we're still finding the right balance.
Okay, so basically it's your acquisition funnel is between YouTube and marketing, and fairs and LinkedIn.
Yeah, but the focus is mainly on marketing because of our business model, which allows small companies to get into aerodynamics. That means the revenue per customer is quite low, which means we need many customers. And if you need to reach many customers, you cannot afford to put a salesperson on a single account, for example. So marketing is a way better fit for us because we put ourselves out there, and every small company can theoretically find us on the internet. Of course, you need to be ranked quite high before that happens. That's our challenge.
Yeah, but you seem to be doing fine in that regard. How many followers do you have on YouTube again?
YouTube is around 110,000 at the moment.
Amazing.
Well, it's a niche channel, so it's not huge, but it's growing nicely.
Yeah, and people are interested, I think, in the content you're putting out about NASA, about drones, all this kind of stuff is quite amazing to see. It's entertaining as much as interesting. But what are your next content pieces about?
We're now trying to professionalize our videos a bit more. If you check our content, it's all handmade by us, my colleague and myself, which is nice. It gives a very personal feeling. But maybe to grow to 200, 300,000 subscribers, we need to make them all a bit more slick, the videos. That's one approach. And we're also doing a lot of collaborations with YouTube channels which are way bigger than ours. So if there's a channel working on a land speed record car, for example, on the salt flats to just go as fast as you can, then they use AirShaper and then they make a video about us, and that gives us exposure and it gives them unique tools for their audience as well.
Okay, and okay. What are you excited about in the content making? Is it the outreach to other creators? The ways it makes you money? What excites you?
Well, good question. It's nice to connect with other channels because they are way better at creating compelling videos than we are. So it's nice to see that when you provide our platform to someone else, they turn it into a really cool video. Something we could never do, or it would take us a lot of time. So that's nice. You get to go to a lot of cool places, like the NASA stuff. It was really nice. Got meetings at NVIDIA, Google, and so on. So it just takes you nice places. We did one at the Korean Aerospace University to record a guest lecture, and that's what I also really like. Coming back to what gives you energy. It's nice to just meet people from all across the world and just connect and see their point of view. Because even though you're talking about aerodynamics, you'll see their business perspective, their applications, which are different, their methods of working. So if you can get to just travel the world for this, it's also just really nice.
Okay, can you tell us the story of the NASA partnership? It's amazing.
Oh yeah. So it actually started really small scale. We just thought, what would be cool for the channel, right? What if we interview NASA? So they had been working on an electric aircraft, which is like a new market, which is booming or about hopefully to boom. And we saw their program, their research program, which was the X-57. And we just went online, looked at all the NASA centers we could find, started sending dozens of emails just to get one reply. And then we got one or two replies and then asked, can we do an interview? Which was just a digital interview, just remote. And then we found a really nice lady. She helped us out and she set up an interview with two of the engineers working on that project. If you want me to continue a bit. We set up the interview and that was actually 2 years before the actual visit to NASA.
Wow.
Which was nice. We created that video or a series of videos on their battery technology, their propeller technology, and so on. And then, in parallel, I was preparing a business trip 2 years after to go visit customers and potential customers in the California region. And then we reached out to them again, asking, "Well, can we just do a second interview in person this time?" Which was really nice. And then the procedure's quite good. Sorry. The procedure is quite nice or quite lengthy because you need to get approval to get access to their site. Because we did 2 visits to NASA. One of them was on the Edwards Air Force Base,
Okay.
which is in the Mojave Desert somewhere outside, somewhere a few hours away from LA. But you need clearance, so it took a few months to get all the documents signed and everything. And then we were talking to Flanders Investment and Trade, which is an organization in Flanders, the north of Belgium, which helps you with business development abroad. And they had a contact at another NASA center, close to San Francisco, Ames Research Center. And they said, well, we can organize a visit there as well. And they have the biggest wind tunnel in the world, which is really relevant to our channel. The other side is where they developed the X-planes, like the first plane to break the barrier with the speed of sound in level flight and so on. All of these incredibly cool projects. They had a hangar where the space shuttle could be stored and so on.
Nice.
Super cool. And because we had clearance for one side, we got relatively easy access to the other side and so on. It's just incredible
Amazing.
to be there.
And when you went to, that's a very personal question because I like the topic, but when you went to the Mojave Desert, did you see any little green men?
Maybe on their side, yeah, they hit it pretty well, but
Yeah? Maybe that's why you need clearance, right?
yeah, they did tell me like, oh, that footage you cannot use because there's stuff on it that cannot
Okay.
be shown on the channel.
That's interesting. Maybe they did hide something from
They did
us.
hide some yesterday.
Okay. Very interesting, but yeah, you seem to have a lot of fun in your work. Did you have as much fun when you were working in a company?
It's very different, right?
Yeah.
So the highs are not as high and the lows are not as low
Yeah.
in a corporate job, on average. I'm not saying for everyone, but for me that was the case. Like my first job, it was designing gearboxes. Thanks. Which is cool. I learned a lot. We go home and it's kind of done, right? You don't take too much stress with you. Then the second job, the engineering agency where I worked, that was actually really cool.
Can you go back? Sorry. Yeah?
Because
Oops.
every week I got to work on multiple different projects, whether
Yeah?
it was race boats or solar panels, or drones or satellites or anything.
Yeah?
It was just extremely dynamic.
Yeah?
So that was basically a dream job. So the full 6 years that I worked there. But then, yeah, I wanted to do something of my own. But it is way more intense to work on your own company. I don't think it's better in an absolute term or anything. It just needs to align with your personality, because if you don't like the unknown or unexpected problems, or if you don't thrive on those extremely cool moments, then well, don't bother, because you're happy the way you are. So it's just a very personal thing.
Yeah, it's a character thing, like personality. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
But okay, so now we have a very special thing. We for the first podcast, we challenged Robin Monduel to let's go that way because I saw something interesting.
Okay.
We challenged him to race the steps, the stairs, sorry, of Montmartre.
Okay. Yeah.
It's very difficult. But I just saw some stairs that will give us a challenge.
Yeah.
So let's see who gets there first. Okay. Wow, that's gonna be tough.
I know you're in.
Okay, just let's start when you're on a plateau there.
Okay.
We do 3, 2, 1 and then go. Okay.
I think the cameraman's gonna win.
Yeah, he's very resilient, motivated. Okay. So let's take each share. Yeah. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go. Woo! Congrats. Okay, so before asking if you have someone else to join our podcast in mind, I would like to get your last advice on this podcast. If you had to leave us with one, what would it be?
I'll just go for it.
Yeah!
Commit to your dream. Yeah.
Amazing!
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you had an entrepreneur in mind to get on our podcast, who would enjoy it in your opinion?
I think there's a few. I'll send a few recommendations. But there's like Timothy, he's the guy who actually helped me 12 years ago to build the first prototype. So maybe you can ask him. He's still around for another month.
Okay.
Before he moves to Athens.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Wouter.
Yeah, you too.
Good talking to you, and congrats on your CEO on the run.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And good luck with the next one.
Thanks. We're good.